'cause I'm a singer. I would like that song. Out of my head, please. Also, I would like this camera to stop disconnecting so that I can stop doing these settings over and over and over again.
You saved the typical one for us, I think.
That's actually what I would like.
Bo, your first thought was maybe it was a French composer, and that was actually my first thought. The very first phrase, I thought, oh, it sounds impressionistic. But then I heard something a little bit later that made me change my thought
I bumped the
about
microphone.
who the composer is.
But
that
you knew
Bruce is
that.
mimicking here.
Because you heard it.
A rhythmic device.
Oh, okay, I got it.
Is it perhaps Brahms?
Yes, it is Brahms.
Johannes Brahms. So
So I'd like to say that it's more than Brahms, if you can say such a thing, because it's from a particular piano piece of Brahms, and it's a particular piece that I can understand the French sidetracking because it's famous for being harmonically very unusual, and that opening does sound French.
almost impressionistic.
Yeah, and the ending is, I mean, these things are actually by Brahms, those things that make you think that.
Uh-huh. So it's German composer Johannes Brahms whose style is being imitated here. And what about a tune that's hidden in this piano puzzler?
When it's one that I don't know, I always think it's like a show tune. It's like da, 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 da.
If the two of you met 4 years ago in school, this is well before your time. If
Okay, I don't need that. I need this. Thank you. Can someone tell? I'm just so toxic. Should I get a drink? Get a drink. Got me a drink. I appreciate you. Have I ever said that before? Oh, you know what would make this easier is if my laptop was actually like in front of me. I didn't really think about that. So, yeah, do that. There we go. Oh, it's quite far down now. I actually wanted it to face me. It keeps turning away. It's okay. I can fix that. Okay. So, today's mission. Oh, Peter Pant. She Peter Pants. Oh no, she Peter Pants, chat. Oh no. Should I just fucking read a book? I really don't feel like playing today. So maybe I should just like read a book. I don't have a fantasy book, so The music isn't gonna match, but I'm just really tired. We haven't actually gotten it fixed. When we got it fixed 6 months ago and the guy came and like he looked at it and he was like, you know, I have no idea what's wrong, so here's a whole new modem. I'm so fucking scared. I'm only a fool for you. It sounds very tense. Put on backwards. I love that I have this big ol' scratch on it from my last shoulder rest. Makes me very happy. Along with the ridiculous amount of damage from my finger oils, because I didn't know you could get a violin, like, sealed. This is on wrong, and I can't care. That's all I'm gonna do. I'm just gonna see panty. I like that. Now why is the ISO deciding to underexpose this, but it won't ever underexpose anything when I want it to? I could not give any less shits today. That was really bad. It's okay. I love Sweet Child of Mine. Why is it so dark? I don't understand. It looks so bright in my viewfinder. It actually looks like gorgeous. I wish, here, I'm gonna take a picture. I'm gonna prove it. Now, did I dox myself in the background of that? No. Okay, maybe a little. I'll color it in. I really love living here, but also, I don't know. I kind of just have to pretend that we don't have a choice, because we kind of don't. We can't move again. It would not be mentally, we would not be capable of doing that again, unless we absolutely had to, and we do not. But I just constantly feel like, ooh, should I be regretting it? No, because it's not a choice. There you go. Not a choice. Okay. Alright, Discord. Right, what my viewfinder sees. Oh yes, and then my beautiful OLED screen makes it so that I can't tell what I'm looking at. Honestly, neither of them are bad. It's just like you can tell the way that it's like in my camera, it looks gorgeous. It looks perfectly exposed. There's like a soft transition from the highlights to the lowlights, and like I can't wait to hang stuff here, but the time will come. Can't say it looks much different. Well, that's bullshit. Also, apparently there's a name for this, for when your skin is so sensitive that when you touch things with it, it turns red. Huh. Well, let me see if I have any filters, because if I have filters, I do not have filters. I have a face tracker. I love that you can hear the children running around upstairs. Very wonderful upstairs neighbor behavior. But, I mean, children have to run. They have to run at some point in time, and they don't, it's not like they have anywhere else to run, so I should just get over it, honestly. But last night, some teenagers were out on their balcony or something. They had to have been. I thought it was upstairs, but I didn't think they had teenagers. And they were just like yelling. I just kept waking up. And this was for hours. Why do you think that just because you're outside, no one can hear you? That's the stupidest thing. Like, literally, we can hear you more because the windows are thinner than the walls and the floors. Too much blood in your body. Yeah, that's what happens when you steal someone else's body as a vampire. They just don't care. Is it super noisy outside at all times? Yes, it is. It is. I mean, it's like any city. When you're outside in any city, like, you're just constantly hearing a lot of car noise, and that's pretty much it. But there's no, like, people don't really honk here unless something dangerous is happening, so that's nice. And if they do, it's like the really polite, like, hey, the light's green, beep beep. Yeah, these windows, I'm very grateful for their thickness. However, I have noticed the sun gets amplified by them. Any plants that can't tolerate... Actually, even my cacti have been bleached from this sun. That says a lot. Thank you. Hi, Wixie. Cool. Let's see if the NPR is back to good music. How did I manage that? I don't know how I managed to mute it. Alright. I will be right back. I'm gonna grab a book. My favorite book so far. That's a lie. Whatever I'm reading currently is my favorite book. Because I can't bear to read anything that isn't my new favorite book. It's too boring. Oops. I'm sure he already left. But I bet you could single-handedly make him regret making that his username. Okay, alright. Let's get cozy, shall we? So, this book is about unconscious biases, decisions, gut feelings. It's called Blink, The Power of Thinking Without Thinking by Malcolm Gladwell. And he's written quite a few books on psychology. And I'm really enjoying it. We just got done with going over, I think I mentioned this recently in a stream, the phenomenon of the new Coke and how people preferred Pepsi in taste tests, but when you take something people associate, like Coke is already a classic, it's already a staple, and when people drink Coke, they're not drinking it for the taste. They think they are, but they're not. They're drinking it for the experience of drinking Coke. And so, when you take Coke and you make it win in taste tests, people hate it because you've changed what Coke is, and that's the reason they drink it. I might have also mentioned it a while ago because I started reading this like a year and a half ago. Okay, alright. The Chair of Death. The Aeron chair was the brainchild of two well-known industrial engineers, Don Chadwick and Bill Stumpf. The two had been hired by furniture maker Herman Miller, with whom they had worked before, most notably on chairs called the Ergon and the Equa. Yet, they weren't entirely satisfied with their earlier efforts. Both had sold well, but the two men thought that the Ergon was clumsy, an immature effort. The Equa was better, but it had since been copied by so many other firms that it no longer seemed special. The chairs we had done previously all looked alike, Stumpf says. The Aeron was a deliberate attempt to come up with something that looked different. Stumpf and Chadwick's first idea was to make the most ergonomically correct chair imaginable. They had done that to some extent with the Equa. But with the Aeron they went even further. An enormous amount of work, for instance, went into the mechanism connecting the back of the chair to what chair designers call the seat pan. In a typical chair, there is a simple hinge connecting the two so you can lean back in the chair. But the problem with the hinge is that the chair pivots in a different way from how our hips pivot, so tilting pulls the shirt out of our pants and puts undue stress on our back. In the Aeron, the seat pan and back of the chair moved independently through a complex mechanism. And there was much more. The design team at Herman Miller wanted fully adjustable arms, and that was easier if the arms of the chair were attached to the back of the Aeron, not underneath the seat pan as is ordinarily the case. They wanted to maximize support for the shoulders, so the back of the chair was wider at the top than at the bottom. This was exactly the opposite of most chairs, which are wide at the bottom and tapered at the top. Finally, they wanted the chair to be comfortable for people who were stuck at their desks for long periods of time. I looked at straw hats and other things like wicker furniture, Stumpf says. I've always hated foam chairs covered in fabric, because they seemed hot and sticky. The skin is an organ, it breathes. This idea of getting something breathable like a straw hat was intriguing to me. What they settled on was a specifically engineered thin elastic mesh stretched tight over the plastic frame. If you looked closely through the mesh, you could see the levers and mechanisms and hard plastic appendages in plain sight below the seat pan. In Herman Miller's years of working with consumers on seating, they had found that when it came to choosing office chairs, most people automatically gravitated toward the chair with the most presumed status, something senatorial or throne-like, with thick cushions and a high, imposing back. Me. I am the average consumer. What was the Aeron? It was the exact opposite. A slender, transparent concoction of black plastic and odd protuberances and mesh that looked like the exoskeleton of a giant prehistoric insect. Comfort in America is very much conditioned by lazy boy recliners, says Stumpf. In Germany, they joke about Americans wanting too much padding in their car seats. We have this extra fixation on softness. I always think of that glove that Disney put on Mickey Mouse's hand. If we saw his real claw, no one would have liked him. What we were doing was running counter to that idea of softness. I have a lot of mouth noises. I like Pepsi more because it sounds more like penis. How do I delete my own message? If only I knew. In May of 1992, Herman Miller started doing what they call use testing. They took prototypes of the Aeron to local companies in western Michigan and had people sit in them for at least half a day. In the beginning, the response was not positive. Herman Miller asked people to rate the chair's comfort on a scale of 1 to 10, where 10 is perfect, and at least 7.5 is where you'd really love to be before you actually go to the market. And the early prototypes of the Aeron came in at about 4.75. As a gag, one of the Herman Miller staffers put a picture of the chair on the mock-up cover of a supermarket tabloid, with the headline, "Chair of Death, everyone who sits in it dies," and made it the cover of one of the early Aeron research reports. People would look at the wiry frame and wonder if it would hold them, and then look at the mesh and wonder if it could ever be comfortable. It's very hard to get somebody to sit on something that doesn't look right, says Rob Harvey, who was Herman Miller's senior vice president of research and design at the time. If you build a chair that has a wiry frame, people's perception is that it isn't going to hold them. They get very tentative about sitting in it. Seating is a very
That concert
intimate
was
kind
in
of thing.
Dallas, in what is maybe a slightly unexpected concert space.
You don't say. The body comes intimately into contact with the chair, so there are a lot of visual cues, like perceived temperature and hardness, that drive people's perceptions. But as Herman Miller tinkered with the design, coming up with new and better prototypes, and got people to overcome their qualms, the scores began to inch up. By the time Herman Miller was ready to go to market, the comfort scores were, in fact, above 8. That was the good news. The bad news? Just about everyone thought the chair was a monstrosity. From the beginning, the aesthetic scores lagged way behind the comfort scores, said Bill Dowell, who was research lead on the Aeron. This was an anomaly. We've tested thousands and thousands of people sitting in chairs, and one of the strongest correlations we've always found is between comfort and aesthetics. But here it didn't happen. The comfort scores got above 8, which is phenomenal, but the aesthetic scores stayed out between 2 and 3 and never got above 6 in any of our prototypes. We were quite perplexed and not unworried. We'd had the EquiChair. That chair was controversial too, but it was always seen as beautiful.
On PT. You can hear that performance from Dallas.
I can't hear the mouth noise. Is the music loud? Or was it loud, I should say?
Broadcast of our show is supported by Progressive.
I don't care. Uh-oh, cheat viewers. Can you imagine buying viewers? Okay, good. I'm always surprised by how dehydrated I am. Whenever I have a condenser microphone like an appropriate distance from my mouth. This is why I'm not bothering getting back into voiceover. there's no way with all of the noises I could possibly get, like, especially if I was going to try to do audiobooks, it's constant. If you're not wearing headphones, you're not going to have any idea what I'm talking about. But the microphone picks up the bass of the people walking upstairs. You're fine.
A slight
You
chance of
sell your soul
thunderstorms
for
in the morning,
viewers.
and thunderstorms likely tomorrow afternoon. Some of them may be severe. Look for highs on Thursday around 85 degrees. Looking ahead to Friday's forecast, sunny, dry, and cooler with a high
Thank you.
of 78.
We appreciate that.
From APM American Public Media, this is Performance Today. I'm Valerie Kaler. Violinist
Where's the
Janina
shock mount?
Lewis
You
joined
know what?
us
That's
as
a good
featured
point.
young artist
I
in
never bought
2020.
one.
When Fred Child asked her about future plans,
I just never bought
she
one.
said she
Because when I
hoped she
bought
could be
it,
part
I
of a
was
chamber group
really
because
tight on
she
cash.
loved string quartet music.
And
So if
like I
could
didn't have a
find
job at
three
all.
other like-minded people,
And so
make some
I was
music,
seeing it
use
as an investment, and I just wouldn't invest the extra $20, I guess. Which is silly from an adult perspective, but at the time I was like, I couldn't possibly spend more money on something that I don't actually know the importance of. You're right, I don't need to over-explain like that.
The Symphony No. 3 by
Yeah, I'm learning that. Because I keep walking around my kitchen and I can hear it. But here's the thing, I won't be buying one unless I actually considered getting into voiceover and voice acting. Because there's no, I mean, like, yes, it would make streams better, but it's not something that actively bothers me. Like, if I step lightly, it doesn't matter. And this isn't even me calling you fat. What would be me calling you fat is... That's true, actually. I do forget to step lightly. Yeah. It's $20. It's not that big of a deal. Well, my first order of business is going to be getting a new boom mic stand, because I have one for over there, but that one's not going to move. And this one, the boom part broke. So it's just upright, but I think when I stream with this one, I want it to actually be close enough to my face to be useful, because I'm sick of all of the background noise. Balls. Sorry, balls. The boom boom broke. Okay, I think the talking is done. I hope the talking is done. Okay. This is in the music category, isn't it? Let's switch that. Is there a reading category? Yeah, that's typical. I don't know why, but every time I try to set the category in chat, I can't do it. And Restream still doesn't have a way to set the category for all your channels at once. So I have to go in and manually go film and automation. Wait, animation, that makes more sense. Short movies, travel and events, video blogging, comedy, entertainment, education, movies, anime, action, adventure, documentary, drama, sci-fi, thriller, shorts, shows. These are such bad categories. I guess entertainment is what I would say. Yeah.